Have you been to Sydney? This is Centennial Park in Sydney. So it's just on the south side of the harbour bridge. And my sister lives in a suburb called Glebe, and that's usually where we stay when we go to Sydney. We're not really too familiar with the roads around Sydney and haven't found somewhere where we feel safe riding if we're just going on the regular streets of Sydney. So usually if we have to ride when we're in Sydney, we come here to Centennial Park and do our session here. So the loop is around 3.5 kilometres long, and you have that fairly wide bike lane the whole way around. And then on the right hand side is the car lane. So all the parking's on the inside, so for cars to get either to the car lane and then to park, they actually have to cross the bike lane. They have to give way to the bikes, and from what we've seen, they are pretty good at doing that. And they'll give way and then jump across over into that right hand lane, and then the bikes stay on the left hand side. And you can see anytime there's an entrance, there's that green painted section there. So on this particular occasion, Tim was on his mountain bike. So he spent a bit of time going around other trails that are around Centennial Park, until someone, I think, said to him that he wasn't supposed to be on one of those trails. I'm not sure how well marked they are, whether they're walking trails or bike trails. There are also a lot of horses around here, so you do have to be careful of horse riders. On that inside section, there's some great trails for runners as well, and you often get big groups of runners at Centennial Park. There's a park run there every Saturday morning. You also often get people on their time trial bikes. If they're training for either a time trial or a triathlon or something, it's a good spot where you can get up some speed, get pretty aero, and just practice time trialing. There are also a lot of dogs around here, and you always have to be careful, just wondering whether making sure those dogs are actually well trained and know not to come out in the path. There are lots of children around here, so it's always a little bit where you need to be on guard and watching what's around you, because there's cars, bikes, people, dogs, kids, horses going everywhere. Once when I was here, I actually saw a horse bolt out and then out across the road. So you do have to be pretty wary of what's going on. This is also for rollerbladers, and they can get up to some pretty good speeds. I didn't see any on this particular day, but there's often trucks and buses going past. It is very pretty though. There's some water areas as well around. And it's just a good place for us to feel safe and to feel like we can do our session that we need to do. If we were just going out for a tourist ride, we'd probably go somewhere else rather than going round and round and round and round Centennial Park. So they have these little cart things. Obviously struggle a little bit going up the slight inclines. There's not really any hills, it's pretty flat. There are a couple of areas where you get to change gears a couple of times, but really you're pretty much in 2, maybe 3 gears the whole way around. So the other thing to do when I'm in Sydney is to go running with my sister, and that's actually a fairly new thing. So I only started running just before I left New South Wales and moved to Queensland, and I ran with my sister a couple of times, and that's probably 14, 15 years ago now. Her son is a really good runner, But he was sick when we were down recently, and my sister rang me and said that she had entered a 1,500 metre track event. She'd never entered an event before, a track event, and so we went and watched her on the track, and so I thought that was pretty cool. She's a little bit older than me, but a faster runner, so she's always a bit of an inspiration to try and keep going, and you don't have to slow down as you're getting older. So after I moved to Queensland, she actually got injured running and stopped running for many years, and she's only recently started again the last year or so. So it was nice to actually run around near her place. This is over the, I'm going to say the Glebe Island Bridge, but that's not the right name for it. At the Anzac Bridge. So this is running over the Anzac Bridge and doing a loop back to her place. So it's always fun when you're travelling and going into a different city to look around and see what's around, different places to train. I love this area, running around here, really nice. And this is when Tim was sick, and so he had just gone for a walk with the dog and my brother-in-law. Thanks for training with us.